We've got several of his articles up on LarryElder.com. One he wrote in December of last year called Iranian Protests Were Not About the Price of Gas. Another one up there that he wrote in January called Trump Has Ended Proportionate Warfare Against Iran. Will it last? And the one he wrote that I want to talk to him about today is up on LarryElder.com. It's called Is Iran on the Brink of a Coronavirus Coup? Please welcome to the program Mr. Ajay Kishida. Dr. Caschetta, thank you very much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Could the virus from Wuhan, you write, accomplish in a matter of months what 7 U.S. presidents, 19 CIA directors, and legions of Iranian secularists and dissidents could only dream about achieving in Iran? And you're talking about the possible collapse of the regime. Is it possible, Doctor?
Well, I hope it's possible. I think it's possible. I gave it about 50-50.
That's pretty high.
Others are skeptical.
50-50 is pretty high.
Iran has been at this a very long time. They're very good at tyrannizing. But there are cracks in the facade. There have been some positive signs. You mentioned the gasoline protests in December, in November of last year. That was very bold. It's the kind of thing that could possibly lead to a tipping point, but I think it's going to take the ruling classes, the elite classes, the clerical classes also to turn on the regime.
Doctor,
had positive signs, though. The academics seem to be turning on the regime. They wrote that letter on March 29 accusing Khomeini, they address him as Mr. Khomeini, of being the main cause of the crisis in Iran. That's kind of unimaginable 5-10 years ago.
I saw that in your article, and it struck me. I would have thought that 100 academicians writing such a letter would put their lives in danger.
It probably has. It probably has.
Wow.
According to the Middle East Media Research Institute, the website that published it is associated with the leader of the 2009 Green Movement. So he lives under house arrest. You have to wonder how many other people will be living under house arrest soon. Other interesting signs, Rouhani got very angry the other day at the chief auditor of Iran, a guy named Abdel Azhar, because he published a report on Tuesday claiming that $4.8 billion was missing from the country's budget. That seems like a good sign.
I'm talking to Dr. Ajay Kishida. He is a fellow with the Middle East Forum. Doctor, had Obama given some verbal support and perhaps subterranean support to the so-called spring in 2009, would the situation have been different? Would it have evolved different? Was the regime precarious enough so that had Obama given more support to the dissidents, it could have collapsed?
That's a good question. Playing 20/20 hindsight with history is tough, but it's actually worse than you even mentioned. So maybe it was possible, maybe not. But Obama actually ordered the CIA to sever contacts with the dissidents. So not only did he not do anything, he actively, it would appear, tried to prevent a coup from occurring.
Now, Doctor, I know they don't have public polls in Iran, but if they did, how angry?
They did, don't believe them.
Yeah, I'm going to say, how angry are the Iranian people at the regime?
They seem pretty angry. Some of those protests, the ones in December, instead of the usual death to America, they were yelling death to Palestine, no to Gaza, no to Lebanon. We don't want the Ayatollahs, death to the dictator. They were pulling down the regime's anti-American banners and signs everywhere. So that was another good sign.
Doctor, what is the official infection rate of the coronavirus in Iran, and what do you think it really is?
Well, it's not what they're saying it is, that's for sure. I trust their rate about as much as I trust China's rate. So I read that it was somewhere in the order of 40 times more than they're reporting. It's certainly much larger than they're reporting.
You also write, Doctor, that a member of the medical committee of the parliament in Iran boasted that medical experts from all over the world were coming to Iran not to offer support, but to learn from them.
Right.
What can we learn? What can we learn from it?
Physicians were coming to Iran to learn from them.
Yeah. What can we learn from an Iranian doctor?
And then you see some of the advice that they got from, for example, I'll say this delicately, Abbas Tabrizian, father of the Islamic medicine in Iran, advised everyone, before sleeping, put a cotton ball dipped in violet oil into your anus.
I wonder why the infection rate has gotten out of control. I'm not even going to.
Probably didn't work.
I'm not even going to ask you.
Also know
Doctor, I'm not even going to ask you what violet oil is, but
I don't want to know.
Go ahead.
We also know on February 15th that Khomeini told his bodyguards not to let people kiss his hands. So somebody was giving him some advice beyond the violet oil treatment.
And you also write that they are also saying that this is a biological weapon, that we, United States, has a lot of biological labs, and the suggestion is that we are responsible for unleashing this virus on the Iranians.
Right. There's been a pretty broad range of conspiracy theories. Israel was blamed. The U.S. was blamed. There's ideas that it was specifically devised to, in American labs, of course, to attack the DNA of Iranian people.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of interesting things like that. There is some good news, though. I don't know if you saw this yesterday. The leader of the IRGC, the guy who took over after Soleimani was killed,
right,
is a guy named Salami, and he introduced yesterday a, quote, a wondrous and exclusive scientific and technological phenomenon that can detect coronavirus from as far as 100 meters away within 5 seconds.